This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
High Stakes Summit. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Tomorrow's the day Trump and Putin come face to face in Anchorage, Alaska. President Trump says he will not discuss territorial issues with Vladimir Putin during that historic get-together at a U.S. military base. The heads of state will discuss a ceasefire in Ukraine. Mr. Trump adds Friday's chat is just a prelude to future talks.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there.
Brent Sadler at the Heritage Foundation says the burden of proof in these talks is squarely on the shoulders of Vladimir Putin.
It's going to have to come from Russia. Show me in real terms on the battlefield that you're serious. Stop the long-range attacks, stop targeting civilians, and show me that you're serious about a ceasefire before any of the pressure that President Trump is now putting on Putin is let up.
Ukraine's president says Putin's not interested in peace. He's interested in occupying his country. Mr. Trump says there will be severe consequences for Putin if he does not agree to stop this war. President Trump wants to extend the month-long deployment of National Guard troops in the nation's capital. He says 30 days is not enough time to get crime under control. Reaction to the federal takeover of police is mixed on the streets of D.C. today.
A lot of people who live here for a long time know that it's not the picture he's painting. It's a safe place.
My concern is that the people that are causing harm to other people here in Washington are not being punished.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says there are some areas of agreement with the White House when it comes to the stepped-up law enforcement presence.
We certainly want to know what we're being measured against, and I think they regard it as a success to have more presence and to take more guns off the street, and we do too.
The White House claims more than 100 arrests have been made since the president announced the federal takeover. Left-wing groups linked to billionaire George Soros have spent $20 million on organized protests since the crackdown was announced. California Governor Gavin Newsom's vowing to redraw the Golden State's congressional map in retaliation for a controversial redistricting bill in Texas. Newsom says the legislative effort in Sacramento will help Democrats take back control of the U.S. House in next year's midterms. Gloria Romero is the former Democratic leader of the California State Senate.
Well, it's one-party rule, and this is what you get when you have a very elite, out of touch with the voters, legislators, but they control all the political levers in California.
Romero says Newsom can ram through whatever map he wants to due to the Democratic supermajority in the California state legislature.
But it comes down to a political machine. It comes down to muscle and money. And Gavin Newsom, make no doubt about it, this is his vanity launch. He is running for president, trying to jig up the maps, basically. So let's see what happens.
New York's also vowing a redistricting retaliation if Texas goes through with its new look congressional map. A new law in Gloucester, New Jersey could put parents in jail for their kids' unruly behavior. Gloucester Mayor David Mayer on why the Minors and Parent Responsibility Act is so needed.
We have a juvenile crisis in this country. This is not unique to Gloucester Township, but rather is symptomatic of a larger societal juvenile crisis. And I'll tell you, I don't have all the answers. But one possible answer is to hold parents accountable for their children.
But this mom thinks that law to punish parents goes too far.
Blaming parents for what a child does, they are their own person, right? 16, 17 years old, sure, their brain's not fully formed yet, but if they are getting the correct guidance, they should be making the right decisions. And they know the difference between right and wrong. And if they choose to do something wrong, that child should be held accountable for it, not the parent.
Parents in Gloucester can be jailed for up to 3 months and face thousands in fines for public disturbances caused by their kids. The law applies to children up to the age of 18. Flash flooding left 4 dead in Chattanooga, Tennessee this week. A family of 3 was killed when a tree uprooted and fell on their car. Chattanooga Mayor Tim Kelly.
That was the second highest rainfall total in the city's history.
Correspondent Aaron Gilchrist.
Officials say the disaster would have been far worse if not for the work of Swiftwater rescue teams who saved dozens from fast rising waters. A major interstate, I-24, under 3 feet of water for hours.
First responders had trouble keeping up with all the calls for help. A record amount of rain took everyone by surprise.
When you look at it and it's 2 inches deep and the next thing you know it's 4 feet deep, that's something you've never seen before.
This homeowner lost everything in the flood.
It's pretty bad. I mean, everything, it's total loss.
The flooding prompted more than 400 emergency calls, more thunderstorms in the forecast today for waterlogged Chattanooga. Dollar General is recalling its Clover Valley instant coffee. It has to do with the potential presence of glass fragments. The coffee in question was sold last month in every state except Hawaii and Alaska. Customers are advised to throw out the coffee and call Dollar General for a refund. Still to come on the Noon Report, dirty water in Lawrenceville, a religious freedom case out of Grand Island, and male thievery near Rochester.
A very good afternoon to all. I'm Kevin Williams calling for On Balance. A pleasant day today, but some of us could still catch a shower or a thunder shower. That being said, forecast hotels are up in 10.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. Buffalo, New York has seen its first heat wave in 5 years. A heat wave is when temperatures reach at least 90 degrees for 3 straight days. And that happened in Buffalo on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Marks the city's first heat wave since July of 2020. The feds have busted up an elaborate months-long mail theft scheme in the Rochester, New York area. 3 men from Monroe County accused of stealing mail from hundreds of people in Irondequoit and Brighton. The victims never received their mail or had money stolen from their mail.
Prosecutors say the suspects drove to post offices across the county in the middle of the night, stealing the mail inside multiple blue collection boxes. They are then accused of altering the checks found in those letters, depositing them, and withdrawing the funds before banks could identify fraudulent activity.
Daniel Finkelstein with 13 Wham says the criminal activity dates back to 2023. Investigators used surveillance video to identify the suspects and even planted a bug on the vehicle of one of the accused to aid in that sting operation. Pennsylvania's late state budget could leave 100,000 college kids without financial aid this fall. $15 million in need-based education grants is being held up by the spending impasse in Harrisburg. Students are urged to check with their college to learn more about how this delay might affect them. Lawmakers are not due back at the state capitol until September. New York Governor Kathy Hochul's making $5 million available for students at SUNY Buffalo. This is to help them pursue degrees that concentrate in artificial intelligence. SUNY Chancellor John King.
These degrees will prepare folks for jobs across industries. So you'll have students who are better prepared to work in industry, better prepared to work in the world of finance, and leveraging AI to drive economic innovation.
The AI-focused majors at SUNY Buffalo will be available to students starting this fall. A central New York school district is still searching for a place to house its high schoolers, with the start of school just weeks away now. Flooding in June at Oneida High School has made the current building unusable. The district was planning to use the former Bishop Grimes High School in Syracuse, but that building needs too many upgrades. It is possible that Oneida students may end up using the district's middle school. A senior at Grand Island High School in Western New York is suing her school district. The student, identified only as Sabrina, claims her First Amendment rights were violated when she was not allowed to display a Christian cross or Bible verses in her school parking space. Attorney Keisha Tony Russell with First Liberty Institute.
Because the school is allowing the students to choose what they want to put on there, they can't then tell Sabrina, well, you can say what you want, but it can't be religious. You can't say God. You can't say scriptures. That's a violation of the free speech clause, and it's also a violation of the free exercise clause because Sabrina is motivated by her faith to express these personal messages on her parking space.
The district claims if it were to allow Christian-themed parking spaces, then it would have to permit satanic displays as well, and nobody wants that. Each year, Grand Island High School encourages seniors to express themselves by allowing them to create artwork in their school-assigned parking spaces. A federal appeals court has ruled that New York's cannabis licensing program illegally favors local businesses over those from other states. This decision, handed down by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, says it's unlawful for the Empire State to give priority to pot shop proprietors with marijuana-related convictions. A property owner in Lawrenceville, Pennsylvania, wants answers into why his water is unfit to drink. Jody Fisher says the water on his rental properties is a dirty brown color.
I called DEP to have a test done. They came, they did their test. They wouldn't even drink the water. They said they had to test the water first.
Fisher tells WENY that the dirty water has been a problem for years and he cannot keep tenants because of it.
Well, I had some tenants that have moved out. The one water bill is $1,800. They haven't paid that bill. The borough has put a lien on my property. I'm trying to get it resolved.
Lawrenceville officials are aware of the water woes, but Fisher says they've been slow to act.
I'm not really sure what their plans are, if they even have any plans. But right now we got a deteriorating water system here and sewer system, and it's not being taken care of.
Tests on Fisher's water showed unsafe levels of manganese. Lawrenceville is a small borough in the Twin Tiers, just 1 mile from the New York state border. The town of Clarence, New York, has passed a law to curb reckless e-bike behavior. This statute allows cops to impound e-bikes and fine riders if they're being used in a dangerous manner. The law also applies to dirt bikes and ATVs. This summer's seen a large increase in the number of crashes involving e-bikes. New York deer hunters bagged more bucks this season than last year, but the DEC says the total harvest was still below the 5-year average. Wildlife biologist Courtney Lemire tells Spectrum News a shortage of hunters is a contributing factor.
We have a decline, in hunter numbers and in properties that hunters can access, right? Places that maybe didn't used to be posted against hunters now are. We're just seeing a change in land use.
Wildlife experts say there needs to be a better balance between increasing deer populations and human land use, both in terms of public safety and to better protect the environment. The Buffalo Bills and star running back James Cook have come to terms on a new contract. The 4-year, $48 million deal was announced yesterday. Cook topped 1,000 rushing yards last season and shared the NFL record for rushing touchdowns. We got more sports next. It's the 2-Minute Drill on Family Life.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, the Mets have got to be kicking themselves after blowing an early 6-run lead. Pete Alonso went 3 for 4 and drove in 2 of the runs, but then Atlanta's offense exploded. They scored 11 unanswered runs, 9 of them coming in the 4th inning. Michael Harris had the big blast, a granny. The Mets have now dropped 8 of their last 9, 11-6 the final. The Yankees had to put their brooms away as there was no sweep in the Bronx. The Twins avoided that by taking down New York 4-1. The Yanks' lone run came on a Cody Bellinger home run. The rubber game of the Phillies Red Series went to Cincinnati 8-0. The Phils could only muster 3 hits in the contest as Hunter Green came off the injured list to throw 6 sharp shutout innings. Miguel Andujar provided more than enough run support. He hit a grand salami in the 7th inning. Philadelphia has now dropped 2 in a row after winning 4 straight. Can anyone stop the Milwaukee Brewers? Certainly not the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Brew Crew swept the Buccos 12-5. Brian Reynolds was the lone bright spot for the Pirates, hitting 2 home runs and driving in all 5 runs for the Brewers. Their win streak is now at 12 games. Checking the scoreboard, your winners in the American League matchups were the Tigers, Orioles, Astros, and Rays. In the National League, the Rockies and Padres. And in interleague play, the Nationals, D-backs, Marlins, Cubs, and Angels. The Angels swept the Dodgers in their freeway series. And the Little League World Series begins tonight for Pennsylvania as Euclid Township squares off against Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy, man, love that pint-sized baseball and all the action there in South Williamsport. Still to come on the Noon Report, horned rabbits in Colorado, ketchup smoothies, and Trump wants more time with the troops.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stone Street. Last week, former CNN reporter Jim Acosta aired an interview with an avatar that claimed to be Joaquin Oliver, one of the students that was killed in the horrific 2018 Parkland, Florida school shooting. Joaquin's father used AI to create an interactive model of his late son and then asked Acosta to interview it on what would have been his 25th birthday. After the avatar told Acosta that he was, quote, all ears, Acosta introduced himself to it and then asked Joaquin what had happened to him. The avatar replied, and I quote, I appreciate your curiosity. I was taken from this world too soon due to gun violence while at school. It's important to talk about these issues so we can create a safer future for everyone, end quote. When he was asked what should be done about gun violence, the avatar then replied, quote, great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding. What do you think about that? I think that's a great idea, Joaquin, Acosta responded. The interview was, to say the least, creepy, except for an initial greeting. AI Joaquin spoke in a flat voice and with eyes that appeared lifeless. And of course, it's impossible to know what views the real Joaquin would hold had he survived the shooting. Most unsettling in all this was how Acosta promoted the interview as if he were actually speaking to the dead student, rather than a computer program that had been fed a specific point of view. Apparently, the boy's parents even hope that the avatar will soon participate in debates about gun violence. The obvious expectation here is that everyone should accept this assumption that an AI program has indeed brought a dead student back to life again. This goes far beyond the hologram that was created of Walt Disney or even the companies that now bring photos to life Harry Potter style. Back in the 1960s, historian Daniel Borstein worried that people would begin to confuse television and movies with the real world. He said, and I quote, we risk being the first people in history to have been able to make their illusions so vivid, so persuasive, so realistic that they can live in them, end quote. The point that he was making is as much about the kind of people we are as it is about how impressive we can make our illusions. After all, we are people who have already confused likes with being liked, social media friends with real ones, and platforms with success. Though in Deuteronomy, God strictly forbid the Israelites from inquiring after the dead, our collective faith in technology has seemed to convince us that such things are far less dangerous. 20th century writer Arthur Clarke said, and I quote, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Our science fiction, as well as tech gurus like Elon Musk and Ray Kurzweil, promise a day when we will inherit eternal life by uploading our consciousness to computers. At that point, it will be fully impossible to know where our technology begins and our humanity ends. And that brave new world will be built on an assumption that human beings are the sum of their parts, reducible to information stored in biomechanical databases that can be transferred to other memory banks. And that's the very same assumption that undergirds this notion that an AI avatar should be taken as if it's the same person it's pretending to be. It is not. Because only humans bear the image of God, AI will never be human. Because only Christ defeated the grave, only He can hold the keys of life and death. In this brave new world, let God be God, let humans be human, and let machines be machines. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you for that. Outside we go, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Sunshine, scattered mixed clouds. Best chance for shower or thunderstorm will be across eastern Pennsylvania. High temperatures in the 80s, that humidity heading down. Tonight turns out mainly clear, low temps dropping towards 60. For tomorrow and Saturday, a good deal of sunshine, although an isolated shower or thunderstorm cannot be ruled out across central and eastern Pennsylvania. High temperatures ranging in the 80s, humidity on the increase on Saturday. Showers and storms likely region-wide then on Sunday.
All right, Kevin, thank you. This is the Noon Report. I'm Bob Price. Here's what's going on Thursday, the 14th of August. President Trump setting the stage for his high-stakes summit tomorrow with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. The world leaders will meet face-to-face at a military base in Anchorage. Trump says if the war in Ukraine does not end soon, there will be severe consequences for Moscow. Correspondent Peter Alexander.
The president also made clear he does not intend to discuss the possible carving up of Ukrainian territory with Putin. Welcome news to European leaders who would urge President Trump not to make any peace deal that changes Ukraine's borders without Ukraine in the room.
Ben Jensen at the Center for Strategic and International Studies spoke with CBS's Ed O'Keefe about tomorrow's summit.
Doesn't Putin already win because he's getting this meeting? He's getting it on U.S. soil. He's getting it at a military base, and he's getting Trump one-on-one.
This is someone who actually is seizing this moment for domestic propaganda value.
The Kremlin's requested a joint news conference between Putin and Trump after tomorrow's summit. The White House has yet to confirm that such a news conference will take place. Border Czar Tom Homan is hopeful the federal takeover of the police in Washington, D.C. will aid in the apprehension of more illegal immigrants with criminal records.
I think D.C. under federal control is not going to be a sanctuary city. We're working with the police hand in hand. When we encounter a criminal illegal alien, they're going to be turned over to ICE. And that's the way it should be. There's no sanctuary for these people in the city of D.C.
Overnight, law enforcement officers set up a checkpoint in northwest D.C. after more than 100 protesters began to heckle them. Correspondent Gabe Gutierrez.
Protesters pushed back against President Trump's move to expand the National Guard and federal officer presence in the nation's capital.
President Trump says he'll work to extend the month-long deployment of National Guard troops. He claims 30 days is not enough to get crime under control. Record rain caused flash flooding this week in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 4 were killed in those storms, including a family of 3 when a tree uprooted and smashed on top their SUV. At one point, there were 60 vehicles stranded on a flooded interstate near Chattanooga. A new Inspector General's report finds widespread staffing shortages at VA hospitals nationwide.
The VA Inspector General estimates that across all 139 VA medical centers, there are severe staffing shortages, and these staffing shortages have gotten 50% worse over the last year.
CBS's Celine Gounder. Have you heard horned rabbits are popping up in parts of Colorado?
Residents in some parts of the state have taken photos recently of wild rabbits that appear to have black horns and tentacles growing out of their heads. A spokesperson for Colorado Parks and Wildlife say the horn-like growths are the result of a benign virus commonly referred to as SPV, which will sometimes affect rabbits in parts of the central U.S. during the summer months. They say there's no risk of the virus spreading to humans or other animals, but they recommend avoiding contact with the horned rabbits. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
All right, Tammy, thank you for that. You're listening to the Noon Report, a Thursday edition on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the voices on the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish, and with me today, Focus on the Family political writer Zachary Mettler. We're talking defunding Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is a behemoth, 400,000 abortions a year, and that's up since the overturning of Roe versus Wade in 2022. 23 states have filed a lawsuit asking the court to block the defunding of Planned Parenthood. Zach, can you tell me what's going on?
You bet, Sarah. Well, July 4th, the One Big Beautiful Bill, finally, after years of pro-life activists advocating for the defunding of Planned Parenthood, finally we scored that victory on July 4th. That was something that we couldn't even accomplish in 2015 after all those undercover videos of Planned Parenthood selling aborted baby body parts came out. So it was a monumental victory for the pro-life movement. But now there's a judge in Massachusetts who's ruled that the Congress and the president cannot defund Planned Parenthood through a law. And so this is a truly crazy judicial ruling, and I think, honestly, one of the most crazy acts of judicial tyranny that I've ever seen happen in American history.
At the root of the whole thing is money that's going to Planned Parenthood. This is federal money, so it's taxpayer money. So people that don't support abortions, their taxes are going to the government. That cash is going to Planned Parenthood, and that's what this entire issue is about, is should federal money be going to this organization? How much federal cash goes to Planned Parenthood?
It's honestly a breathtaking amount. Just last year, there was almost $800 million in Medicaid reimbursements and government grants that went to Planned Parenthood just last year alone. And you think about that, over the last 10 years or so, Planned Parenthood has received literally billions and billions of dollars in federal taxpayer money. So our taxpayer dollars have been going to subsidize the abortion business, and Planned Parenthood is our nation's largest abortion provider. So you have this insane amount of cash that, while it technically doesn't go to pay for abortions directly, every single dollar that Planned Parenthood gets subsidizes their abortion business, right? All money is fungible. So any dollar they get, it helps them run their business. It helps them expand their locations, the amount of services that they can offer. So every dollar that they get subsidizes the killing of preborn children. Thankfully, now they've been defunded by this big, beautiful bill, but really whether or not that's actually going to happen is up to the legal proceedings that are currently playing out, especially in Massachusetts.
Let's talk about both of those. There are actually two lawsuits, not one. The first was by Judge Indira Talwani, and that happened days after the big, beautiful bill passed on July 4th. That ruling was in favor of Planned Parenthood. Was that legal?
Not according to my reading of it. You know, the Planned Parenthood, it was just a couple days after the big, beautiful bill passed that they filed the lawsuit. And then after the lawsuit was filed, literally hours later, Judge Indira Talwani, she's a district judge on the District Court of Massachusetts, without even hearing opposing arguments, without hearing the other side, she instantly sided with Planned Parenthood and said that the Trump administration must, while the lawsuit plays out, keep funding Planned Parenthood. And, you know, this provision of defunding Planned Parenthood in the One Big Beautiful Bill, it only lasts for 1 year. So Planned Parenthood, their goal is to run out the clock. If they can essentially override the will of the American people for 1 year through delaying these legal proceedings, they will override the will of the American people just by having the Trump administration tied up in court here. And so I think that's their strategy, is just to allow the administration to just get hamstrung in court. And their arguments, from reading the lawsuit, honestly, they're the most crazy arguments that I think I've ever seen. And hopefully, as the appeals play out, as this case has already been appealed to the First Circuit Court of Appeals, hopefully we will see common sense prevail. Now, I'm a little skeptical of that because the First Circuit is certainly one of the most liberal appeals courts in the country. There's 5 active judges on the First Circuit right now, and all of them have been appointed by Democrat presidents. One of them, Judge Rickleman, she was actually a pro-abortion lawyer for a while. She was appointed by President Biden. And so I'm hopeful that the First Circuit will see reason and see this lawsuit for what it is. But will that actually happen? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
What about this other lawsuit, the 23 states? What's going on with that?
Yeah, there's 23 states that have filed a similar lawsuit alleging very similar claims that somehow this defunding provision of Planned Parenthood is unconstitutional. They filed that lawsuit. They were led by Attorney General Letitia James from New York. They filed that lawsuit also in the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts. And there's 11 judges on the district court that can hear cases. And whenever a lawsuit is filed in one of those courts, it's supposed to be assigned to a random judge. And again, there's 11 judges. But the second Planned Parenthood lawsuit trying to fund Planned Parenthood was also assigned to Judge Talwani, who was the judge in the first case. And so what are the odds of that happening? I don't know, but it does seem a little coincidental that both lawsuits, one from from Planned Parenthood and one from the attorneys general, has gone to the same judge. And so we'll see where that one lays out. Federal judges do not rule us. We direct where our taxpayer dollars go through our elected representatives. And that needs to be upheld here in this case, so that our money, our taxpayer dollars, your and my hard-earned taxpayer dollars are not going to subsidize the abortion business of Planned Parenthood.
Learn more at FocusOnTheFamily.com.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Faith Under Fire comes your way Thursdays during the Noon Report or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or our website, FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. A cold front is slowly pushing through the area. It is resulting in lowering humidity for many of us, but it'll still be in range to produce a pop-up shower for some. Heading into the weekend, it looks like some overall pleasant conditions as the weekend begins. Showers and storms are on the increase, though, as the weekend ends. For this afternoon, sunshine, scattered mixed clouds. Almost anyone is fair game for an isolated shower. Best chance for shower or thunderstorm will be across eastern Pennsylvania. High temperatures in the 80s, that humidity heading down. Tonight turns out mainly clear, low temps dropping towards 60. For tomorrow and Saturday, a good deal of sunshine, although an isolated shower or thunderstorm cannot be ruled out across central and eastern Pennsylvania. High temperatures ranging in the 80s, humidity on the increase on Saturday. Showers and storms likely region-wide then on Sunday.
All right, Kevin, doing great work as always at the Weather Center. Thank you kindly. And finally from us at noon today, it's been said a time or two that ketchup pretty much goes with everything. But a ketchup smoothie, is that a bridge too far? It's a serious question that deserves a serious answer. Here's Family Life's Brian Query.
Heinz ketchup was first produced in Western Pennsylvania nearly 150 years ago, so it just made sense for Kraft Heinz and Smoothie King to choose Pittsburgh to launch their new Ketchup Smoothie. Starting this week, the Ketchup Smoothie will be available at select Smoothie King locations across the Pittsburgh region. Each smoothie costs $5.70, a nod to Heinz 57, and they will be sold only while supplies last. Kraft Heinz announced the partnership last week, saying the smoothie will only be available in limited markets and includes sweet acai sorbet, crisp apple juice, juicy strawberries, and tart raspberries to create a sweet and fruity smoothie with a tangy ketchup finish. And creating the smoothie brings up the age-old question, is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Maybe what we should be asking is, if tomatoes are a fruit, is ketchup a smoothie? Brian Query, Family Life News.
Oh, those are thought-provoking questions there, Brian. We may never know the answer. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, the 14th of August. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at FamilyLife.org.